60th anniversary of the independence of Congo, a country brutalised by the Belgian King Leopold II at the turn of the 20th century, who used it almost as his personal fiefdom and was responsible for the deaths of up to 10 million. Thousands of Belgians have demonstrated in recent weeks, and statues of Leopold II have been vandalised and some removed in the country. Last night, the ruling King Philippe, a descendant of Leopold II, expressed regret for what had happened in Congo. It was the first expression, in the form of a letter, of remorse. But the words fell short of an outright apology, which could have triggered calls for financial compensation. So, did he go far enough? And even though Belgium is regarded as having a particularly brutal colonial past, does this now open the door to other countries, other monarchies, to do the same?
Well, just before we came on air, I spoke to Princess Maria Esmeralda of Belgium, activist and journalist. She's the great-grand-niece of King Leopold II, and I began by asking her whether the current king, her nephew's expression of regret for the brutality of Belgium's colonial past, had gone far enough.
I think it's a good start. It had to be acknowledged. It's the first chief of state of the colonizers which has at least acknowledged the past. So I think it's the first important step.
Do you believe reparations are due, that it has to go further than acknowledgement, maybe even further than apology, and become financial?
Personally, yes, I think so. But I would say, why don't we start, for example, by fair trade, which would go a long way to repair some of the problem and atrocities of the past.
A lot of people, including your former Prime Minister, current EU Council President Charles Michel, said the country shouldn't focus on these feelings of guilt about the past, that in a sense, once you start going down that track of history, nothing is sacred, and you end up moving backwards, not forwards. What would you respond to him?
I don't agree, because I think we have to face the past, especially when we see that racism is really structural in our societies, and that comes directly from slavery, from colonialism. So we have to face that and acknowledge what has been the fact in our countries, in our society.
Do you think that the statues debate has been helpful or a distraction? I know that Belgium has many statues of King Leopold II, your great-grand-uncle. Should they come down?
Look, the statues are not neutral. They represent something, they hurt people, and I can fully understand that for many communities that was really painful to see a colonizer or slave owners. But obviously we cannot stop at statues. That won't solve the problem. What we have to do is talk about this time of the past. We have to teach it in our schools, because in Belgium I can tell you that nobody was learning about the colonial past. There was a lot of lies, a lot of myths, and that has to change. But more than all that, what we really have to do is build a better society.
So just let me go back. All statues of Leopold II should come down now in Belgium. You'd be happier if there wasn't any semblance of him there.
Look, I don't know if all the statues should come down. They might need some explanation. They would be probably better in a museum with explanation about the complexity of the man himself and the explanation of the colonialism.
I want to know why you're taking this on. You've gone out on a limb. You've spoken publicly about this deeply sensitive issue. When you are part of this family's history, how do you reconcile that within your own life and your own family?
I think it's my duty. It's the duty of anyone who feels the injustice, the atrocities of the past, to confront it and talk about it, even if it's members of my family. And I think that my nephew, the king, probably felt the same, and that's why he said those deep regrets. It must have been difficult, but it was courageous, and I think we have to be all honest.
Do you question your own status as a princess of the Belgian royal family within this setting of the colonial past?
look, I'm not responsible, like my nephew is not responsible, like Belgians today are not responsible, but there is a state responsibility, and that's important.
Do you think of Belgium as being an extreme case? I mean, we know about the horrors of that reign of Leopold II and his sort of personal fiefdom. But I wonder whether you think other families that have had colonial past and exploitations should be making these moves. Do you talk to other royal families about this?
I don't talk about that with them, but I strongly believe that all the countries who were colonizer would have to face the past and would have to acknowledge. I mean, as I said before, it's not enough, the apologies, it's not enough to have a commission of truth and reconciliation. What we have to build is a new society where there is no discrimination. And obviously this helps to start to build a new system.
Is that something you would like to see Her Majesty the Queen do here? Do you think she should address these issues of Britain's colonial past?
I repeat, I think strongly all the European powers that were colonizer, all of them.
What happens if we don't?
I think it's now a momentum. Everybody is really under a lot of emotion and a lot of awareness about what colonialism has done to the racism today. And this system based on the superiority of one race, on domination, on exploitation, I think that's now a big awareness in all our societies.
Princess Esmeralda, great to speak to you this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.